Hello, everyone, and welcome to Chat with Nene Alice. If this is your first time tuning in to Chat with Nene Alice, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to send in your comments because together we can all improve on this channel. Well, viewers, today I have with me Dr. Fatu Taqi. Dr. Fatu Taqi is the immediate past president of 50/50 Group in Sierra Leone. She is also the director of academic, career, advisory and counseling and student complaints at the University of Sierra Leone. She is a mother, she is a wife, and she is a career woman. She is a friend and a sister. We are together at the university, and so I'm so happy to have her with us today. So, Fatu, welcome to Chat with Nene Alice, and you want to say hello to viewers?
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Nene, for having me.
Thank you, too. Okay, so today we're going to talk about women and leadership. Women and leadership. And I'm going to ask you some questions concerning women and leadership, and then we'll start the conversation from that point.
Okay.
So my first question to you, Fatu, is what makes a good woman leader?
Well, what makes a good leader, I think, well, I think someone who considers other people, who have a level of command, of a knowledge of what they're supposed to be doing, and who could guide other people to do the same. With that, I think empathy comes in as part of characteristics that a good leader can have. A good followership, meaning, like I said, a good command. So once you do the command, a good followership, so people get and understand you readily. You're able to have conversations. You're able to listen to other people and other views. You're able to accept fault and criticism when there's a need. You're able to collaborate and even consolidate thoughts around you, and not think that you know it all, or that you need to press on other people who are around you. So for me, that's what makes a good leader.
Yeah.
And as a woman, most times you would have the challenges of probably not just the whole sort of sociocultural psyche of having a female or a woman as a leader. And sometimes you have the challenges of the challenge, where people want to question probably your ability or capability, or even question your not just the authority of why you are there as a leader. So that brings in the aspect of having a strong personality. But most times I say, if you know what you're about, that should also guide what you do. So.
Okay. And like what you talk, you say if you're able to collaborate, if you're able to lead others, if you're able to understand, if you get a listening here, and you're not somebody where don't they in leadership,
Yes.
where you don't they in leadership with a so woman, and you don't they in leadership with you mix with man them. I just want you share your views where you deal with so woman, and your views where you mix with man, where you provide leadership.
Okay, so I think again, we look at leadership we do with people, because whether a man or woman, people get different personality then, and people act and behave differently. People get different backgrounds. So no matter of how you put all together, hold them, or see each individual, what they're capable for do, and the challenges that we get with them. We be a leader amongst women. Actually, we don't start that day from school. Actually, both, because at primary school I was the school prefect, when I boys and girls. Secondary school it was all girls. As you go, up to university, we use this. The experience might be slightly different when an all woman as opposed to we mix, because the dynamics we do with all women there. Sometimes the element of the talk, they can say woman they can talk. But actually you find the same with men also. Man they like to talk. So I think that just that good mix between people and personality. But for lead and head woman them, challenges they both sides. For both man and woman. But most times for man, I think when it comes to it, is to question your validity of why you are there. Once with woman, they okay, no, woman, but sometimes there are other elements in kind we can bring the challenge, other elements of people in personality, then look at other things as opposed to which one are they different and which one are supposed to do.
So the reason why I asked that question, they know that most times, well, I can get feedback. Like for say, I'm not able to stand a woman leader. Okay. You know, I don't know if now the level of patriarchy will exist now the community or society where we they live or waiting, but most of the time people they can give that feedback thing. And I can also want for say, now look at also on the flip side, you know. I don't know if you don't get the kind feedback then they
I think say that kind of feedback you get the same for women. You get women that really think say they know how to put someone or they know how most. And this is why I say sometimes the personality can kind because certain things in the way to woman they can look at. Let's say in a space of an organization, even an office. Sometimes small thing that the woman can pay attention to. We probably man can just pass them over and not take a make nothing. So maybe woman leader they can more strict. You know, maybe they can strict and they take too much mess and nonsense. They also, I think, even research don't show that. Say they're more, even if it's slight, but more credible than men. Where it has to. I know saying that all man bad. Likewise, I'm not saying that all man good. So I think, but on average, women don't prove themselves for be, you know, so more credible than men especially. But one thing I say that's strictness. And you know, not for tolerates a lot of things that we sometimes man can just overlook. I think they can be one of the things. I think I don't pretend.
Okay, with your experience working with women, how you see you they see Boku women in leadership in Sierra Leone?
Yes, women them they as leaders now much more. If you want to do a comparison, now it's much more than it was before. So means say we're on the road and we're getting there. Probably we're not in the last 20 years or 30 years or even more. We're there on the way. We know what I don't do. Maybe I can do a comparison for say maybe as to also we want for say like how men have been president of 50-50 we talk about gender parity, where that parity means if you get a rough equal amount of women as well as men that different sided. So when you talk about leadership, yes, they get a lot more women now, but not as many as far as we want. When you look at the statistics, we not still know reach up to even that 30%, 20%. We foresee if you get man and woman them as leaders. You see the strides women they make, you see the strides women they make, then you know say collectively, we put all together, it's supposed to form a whole. So yes, women and they in leadership now, much more than before. But we still know which the side we the things say I'm sure we will not get obviously not get 100% of women in office. We might not even reach 50%. But when you get a semblance of some elements of parity, then when you get the gap not too big between man and woman, and then I think it's much better. When you look around, you look at the model of other countries, and if the things say we try for big progressive, we try for more for the better, then I think say we know each other one way. So I think it's a gradual thing. It's a gradual process.
I will just want to follow we compare furthermore. Let's say we divide Sierra Leone into two levels. We deal with women, they will say at community level, and then we say we deal with women the way at national level. So at community level, do they see women leadership more, or you they see am more at national level?
Good. So what would you call leadership? I think say my leadership, even in communities, don't they from time. Maybe you will not be able to come as leadership. In all communities, you must get possibly nine and they look up to. I want to see nine and they look up not to justify affluence because that person they get money. They can they get money queen in an area, they get cheerleading in an area, then we must get person we look up to. And whether we look in the formal lens or not, that's still leadership. Because then they able guide and mobilize. Even them, who gets business, they use that community when they go get together, say go get our money, and then they can sing and dance and they can reaction. Really, because if you don't leader, really, you need able to get mobilize to be in a camp. So that's an aspect of leadership. So I think so within we small community then you get people away they will can't talk to you or they will only complain to them. You get people away who can't talk to you, will listen to them. You get someone you gotta expect from. So that in a kind of leadership because sometimes when you look at that formal level where they say that other parts now we they look at something other the head office, or than a minister, or than in a parliament, we say that na leaders. But I make mention of something I see even from school, So in hindsight, what do you think about it? What do you think about that now? It's actually they must have seen. They tell why they go to school, even in a primary school. They must not see something. They make me school prefect. You understand? Till you reach secondary school, something must they will make because not anybody they be at. And you don't go for go bribe or anything, but they must see something for you and say, this person able to control so able to get this kind of skill power. So I think say on their level and the down community level, we get leaders. We'll get Mommy Queen there, we'll get cheerleader there, we're our leaders there. We get them big people in back, very respectful, big bossy. We get them big people in back where you able to listen to them, able to get advice, you able to complain to them. At a national level, we're looking at the formal leadership. As to whether than the head institution them, as to whether they lay in charge of social people. We don't have as many. I think say now where we find ourselves in 2021, there's where the trajectory I think will change or is changing a bit because we're getting there, as in the sense that you get a lot of women being appointed now, being appointed to boards, being appointed to head institutions. But also, in all of this, yes, we're looking at the numbers. But also, if you start to look at specifics for say, which is good because now we don't again get first woman this, first woman that. So if you're looking at specific places for say, we will let us see woman the head here. So if it's the big one, then like leader of parliament, or one for see a full minister of finance, or one for see a female defense. You understand? And if so, different aspects. So like in the army, from after because Kabia was there, retired, we not get to know we don't reach the level. And this is what like 50-50, what we'll be talking about, what we main mandates in our training and advocacy. The advocacy is there for talk and bring attention to the thing. But the training aspect also good because you also go for acknowledge, say, okay, when you look at your population, we get a high. In fact, there was a report where they talk about the most, the countries we get the highest literacy rates. I think Sierra Leone is there at 48%, something like that, very high percentage. But when you look at that percentage, you're looking at how many women they inside that percentage. So now make us say we didn't at the path because if first time we normally send girl picking it or you go sometimes you don't reach primary level. Like say you go secondary level, I mean you don't even reach for married. So then after you don't reach and as if you done secondary school. But go university them now for a while. What's in at the point where you go university? But now we get more and more. with free education, with access and all them scholarship and all them, okay, they get more and enlightenment because the more you don't talk about it, you don't make noise, you make people in back begin things. Well, actually, why not send me guy picking was so then they go, then they get educated, then they get equipped for able to think, for able to gain the space, for able to make the right decision, for able to do the right things. So now it's a whole lot of synergies when they come together, you know, for that leadership team, because you get public skills. Saying that, those are just about education. Yeah, I can always say common sense, but we're not common because you need for better. Because some people in our community, yeah, there's one or go school, but it still gets that skill for able to mediate, for able to talk case, for able to mobilize. You don't need a whole land book for that. So what's the book because whatever they skill they for push them, they enhance yes for make you go better, for make you find yourself in a world way competitive now. Because something first they're not going to important if you get a degree. You get masters, you get once, but now the world very competitive, and they move. So if you not kind of move with them, then you left there, and so you find out a lot of women and girl people and parents and the meeting people in school and encourage them. So even when we get a problem of high teenage richness alone, you find out say there's a lot of the radical inclusion in that. So even if they're physically pregnant. They can still go school, they can make something out of themselves. So that's all that's put together. We talk about then 2 levels of leadership. That which one will pass in complaint within the communities. But impacts the
Impact
the.
So viewers, Dr. Taqi don't tell we say at community level there is leadership, and we know because we see the role where Mama Queen and they play, with cheerleading and they play, and elderly women and they play. And we also they see even at school how young people and self they be effects in school, and then self they be part of some community arrangements they outside and they show the leadership. And even at national level, we not still reach the level where we did look for it. We still they get very low numbers, but as compared to 20 years ago, there is much progress. So the question I want to ask you now that you feel to say gender important in leadership.
Yes. Now, when we talk about gender, we talk about man, we talk about woman, and you make up gender. So, within this whole equity, inclusion, thing they can, what they want. Now, yes, we talk about human beings, whether you're a man or whether you're a woman. But for me, you will see trace person, man and woman work together. And waiting around this patriarchy and this we go into, because actually I know I've been going to pre-colonial Africa, because there was element of so women could make decisions pre-colonial. So there's a big argument say actually in colonialism and Christianity, wouldn't bring the religion can bring and count patriarchy. So I know I delve into that. But because of the whole patriarchal thing, we don't make a social construct for research saying women for the in the private space for their house. Not for amount, not for for the man nine for the out and nine for the angle, nine for the top. So even cultural thing, so telling like man in the talk, woman not for talk. Also man is slow, man, woman is slow being, that kind of thing. And this is we need to see the leadership is important. You need to see man and woman they make the attributes, the skills women they get to, the ability we they get to. When you put them side by side, work with woman, because then they think differently. Then it's proven. Our man they think, also woman they think. Okay, but not mean say our man they think neither the correct one, or woman they think neither the correct one. But when you fuse them, you're able to see creation, you're able to see development. So now that's the people. So you say if it's important, yes, it's important. Because that element, or that lens for say, not to one kind people in the more for Sudan. We need to see a mix. We say woman and we need to see a percentage of man and they in the mix because they're able neutralize within human anything or then talk and then kind of thing. Likewise, we see human and woman and need for the middle for able neutralize within everything and how they go about what it is.
Okay, so finally, I just want to take you in a space where people are not too comfortable for talk, but I want to ask you, what are your views on feminist leadership?
Right. Okay. The whole idea of feminism now will bring to space women's empowerment, women's autonomy, women's independence, women's free will to be able to make decisions for themselves. Now, Simon Hawking, you don't really make handy in the whole feminism thing, because when you look at them, there's an element of at the start when there are different forms of feminism, different forms of feminism. So you get people who will readily want to go with the word as it is, or for behave in a radical one. But you get ones that way sometimes they bring in a natural part, they bring in their socialization, or say, okay, well, me not a girl, not a feminist, but I have the views, or me a womanist, or something like how I'm going to discuss this with you, like how MHS will say I'm a womanist, or like how Walker will say, well, I'm a feminist with small f. Because they're bringing in their race, they're bringing in their class within it. Because the construct will normally be white middle class. So, but also the leadership aspect of this feminism. So, I suppose say people can readily identify themselves as a feminist man or as well as woman, because then they look at specifically women's development, women's empowerment, women's autonomy, women's liberation, all these things. So also the leadership aspect concerned, again, for me, it's bringing in that lens for see the space has to be there, the platform has to be there, and I think then gets all this agitation because if you say patriarchy, it's a rebellion against it for say. You cannot keep us in this space. We need to be out there, as public as well as private. But you cannot just dictate and say, well, women need to be there, and men need to be there. So I think that's the whole agitation around it. So where leadership is concerned, is to be able to bring to the fore. One, forget the platform, forget the skills, and for showcase the skills. Because patriarchy not going to allow you really, even as a female leader, for daily. So it's a challenge and it's rebellion against that norm. But also just take into consideration what other people have to offer. Make it inclusive. There has to be diversity within it, and that is what will make it whole. So it can no longer be the one, before the patriarchy, some white middle class men sitting there doing something. Or as we find ourselves in Africa and even in our continent, having a whole bunch of men sitting there making decisions, especially making decisions on behalf of women. So I don't understand where the thought and the idea does not even come in for them to say, okay, can we bring in the people who are making these decisions? Let's just have their views. Because no matter what, you cannot feel the same. I cannot sit there and readily make decisions for men. So even if I'm doing it, I find myself in the position, I should be able to hear their views, to see how they think that's going to have an impact on them, what kind of impact it will have, whether it makes sense. But if you have a group of homogeneous people being the same, thinking the same, doing the same thing, then we will not get different results. And this is where so the whole, not just the leadership, but the whole advocacy and the whole rebellion and agitation is that, and what we're looking for, fighting for, even in Sierra Leone, is that our people need to understand that we will not progress if we're not inclusive. We will not. I mean, like I say, look at all the models everywhere. So we will not progress if we're not inclusive. We will not progress if we don't have diverse views. If we're not, we cannot progress if we don't create the space for younger ones to come in. So when we say inclusive, that's you're bringing in women in. You're also looking at persons with disability. You cannot take them and put them in one place. Okay, you cannot. So you don't think, or you cannot hear, or you don't think, or you are on crutches, so you don't think. No, it's a way to bring them in and have their views and consolidate that. And this is where Sierra Leone would hold it to Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone will not move if they're not inclusive. So it's up to them. But then we as women have to go in there and like we're challenging. No, we have to do it.
Yeah. So thank you so much, for this kind of conversation that we have had. And you said something that I want to end with. She says, Sierra Leone cannot progress without us being equal, without us being diverse,